same day, completely different outcomes. This isn't about luck. This is about a method that casinos have started tracking through their surveillance systems, and floor managers are now being trained to spot players who use it. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact secret method that turns casual slot players into strategic winners. You'll understand the psychological triggers casinos use to keep you spinning, the hidden machine behaviors that reveal when to play and when to walk away, and most importantly, the one discipline that separates players who leave with money from players who leave broke. But here's what I need from you right now. When was the last time you walked away from a slot machine while you were still ahead? Think about it. Can you even remember? Drop your answer in the comments because that single question reveals everything about whether this method will work for you. Let me tell you what happened last month at the Bellagio. A player named Maria has been visiting this casino twice a month for 3 years. She's a regular, always plays the same Dragon Link machines near the poker room, always brings $300, always leaves with nothing. The pit boss knew her by name, the cocktail waitresses knew her drink order, but something shifted 2 months ago. Maria started using a completely different approach, and suddenly she's cashing out ahead on 6 out of every 10 visits. Casino management noticed. They pulled her player tracking data, they reviewed surveillance footage, they even had a host approach her with upgraded rewards trying to change her playing pattern. Maria smiled, declined the offer, and kept doing exactly what she'd been doing. She's still winning. What changed for Maria? She discovered what I'm about to show you. A method that doesn't require math skills, doesn't need a huge bankroll, and works on nearly every modern slot machine in every casino. But before I break down the exact steps, you need to understand what's really happening every time you press that spin button. Because without this foundation, you'll try the method once, misunderstand the results, and go right back to losing. Inside every slot machine sits a computer chip running something called an RNG, random number generator. This chip is cycling through millions of number combinations every single second. Not just when you're playing. Right now, as you're watching this video, every slot machine in every casino is generating random numbers non-stop. The moment you press spin, the RNG locks on to whatever number it's currently generating, and that number instantly determines your outcome. Everything else you see, the spinning reels, the dramatic pause, the near-miss symbols, all theater. Your result was decided in a microsecond. Now, here's what casino executives don't put in their marketing materials. While individual spins are completely random, slot machines operate on something called volatility cycles. These aren't programmed hot and cold streaks. They're the natural mathematical clustering that happens with random events. Think about flipping a coin. Over 1 million flips, you'll get roughly 50% heads and 50% tails. But in any sequence of 20 flips, you might see heads 7 times in a row, then tails 5 times in a row. That's clustering, and it happens on slot machines constantly. A machine programmed to return 90% over millions of spins might return 110% over 200 spins, then 75% over the next 300 spins, then spike back to 105% for 150 spins. The long-term math always balances, but short-term volatility creates these observable patterns. Smart players don't try to predict when a machine will hit. They look for machines showing signs of active volatility and test them strategically. Former slot technicians who've maintained these machines for decades have revealed something crucial. When a machine goes through an extended period of low returns, 30 to 45 minutes of constant play with minimal payouts, that machine has burned through a cold volatility cluster. While there's no guarantee it's about to enter a hot cluster, the probability increases because the machine's programming must eventually meet its return-to-player target. This is where strategic observation becomes your advantage. The secret method I'm about to explain is built on identifying machines that are showing volatility shifts without gambling hundreds of dollars to find out. Here's how it works step by step, and you need to follow every single step exactly as I describe it. Missing one part doesn't just reduce your success, it completely invalidates the method. Step 1 is reconnaissance, and this is where 90% of players fail before they even sit down. You cannot walk into a casino, pick a random machine, and expect this method to work. You need intelligence. When you enter the casino, resist every urge to sit down immediately. Instead, take 20 minutes and walk the entire slot floor deliberately. You're hunting for specific scenarios that reveal machine states. Look for players who've been grinding at the same machine for extended periods. You'll recognize them instantly. They're checking their phone constantly, sighing heavily, shifting in their seat with frustration, or playing with aggressive button presses. These are players trapped in cold volatility cycles. They're your target indicators. Watch them. When they finally give up and leave, note which machine they were on and what time they left. You're also scanning for machines that just became available in high-traffic areas. A machine sitting empty near a main entrance, a popular bar, or the casino cage isn't random. Someone was just playing it. The question is, why did they leave? If you observed them celebrating before leaving, that machine just paid out big. Skip it. But if they left quietly or with visible frustration, that machine is now on your target list. Here's an advanced scouting technique that professional advantage players use. Position yourself at a low-stakes game, video poker or penny slot, in a location where you can observe 4 or 5 machines simultaneously. Play slowly. Your attention isn't on your screen. You're tracking the machines around you. How long is each player staying? Are you hearing bonus triggers? Are players reacting positively or negatively? When someone abandons a machine after obvious frustration, you've found target number 1. Keep scouting until you have 3 to 5 potential targets identified. What's your scouting strategy when you walk into a casino? Do you observe before playing, or do you sit at the first machine that catches your eye? Be honest in the comments. This single habit separates winners from losers. Step 2 is machine qualification, and this is more important than most players realize. This method works specifically on high volatility slots with recognizable bonus features. You want games like Dragon Link, Lightning Link, Buffalo, Locket Link, 88 Fortunes, or any aristocrat progressive. These machines are engineered for long, dry periods between features, which means their cold cycles are dramatic and easier to identify through observation. The method fails on low volatility games. Quick Hit, classic 3-reel slots, and most video poker machines pay steadily and predictably. Testing them doesn't give you actionable information. You also want to avoid penny denomination games where you're betting across 40 or 50 lines at minimum coin. The variance is too compressed. You need machines where a single good hit actually represents meaningful money. Here's something most players never consider. Machine placement matters more than you think. Casinos don't randomly place their slot machines. Every machine on that floor is positioned strategically based on traffic patterns, player psychology, and profitability data. The flashiest, newest machines near entrances, those are usually tighter because they're getting maximum exposure. The casino doesn't need to make them loose to attract players. The novelty does that. But here's where it gets interesting. Machines tucked in corners near high-limit areas, machines along back walls away from main pathways, and machines positioned between table game sections often run with better return-to-player percentages. Why? Because the casino needs to give players in those areas a reason to stay. They're competing with higher-paying table games and premium slots. If the machines in those zones were as tight as the entrance machines, nobody would play them. Former pit supervisors have revealed that casinos also place better-paying machines near players' club booths and cashier cages. The logic is simple. When someone cashes out a small win near those areas, they're more likely to reinvest that money immediately if they see others winning nearby. It's psychological manipulation, but you can use it to your advantage. Step 3 is the test protocol. And this is where discipline becomes everything. You've identified your target machine through observation. Someone just left frustrated after a long session. You approach, sit down, and insert your money. Now comes the critical decision. Set your bet level appropriately. Do not bet minimum, trying to conserve money during testing. If the machine offers bets from 75 cents to $6 and you're comfortable at $2.50, bet $2.50. Testing with weak bets gives you weak data, and weak data leads to bad decisions. You're going to play exactly 7 spins. Not 5, not 10, 7. This isn't arbitrary. 7 spins gives you enough sample size to detect volatility signals without exposing significant bankroll if the machine is dead. During these 7 spins, you're not just watching for wins, you're analyzing patterns. Are you seeing any line wins that exceed 5 times your bet? Are bonus symbols appearing on the reels even if they're not triggering features? Are you getting complete dead spins with zero return? How many of the 7 spins returned something versus nothing? The pattern you observe determines your next move. Here's your decision matrix. If any of those 7 spins triggers a bonus feature, you've hit gold. The machine is active. Stay and play with a predetermined plan. If you hit a line win paying 15 times your bet or more, strong signal. The machine is volatile and paying. Continue playing. If you see 3 or more spins that return between 2 and 8 times your bet, medium signal. The machine has life. You can continue cautiously with tight limits. But here's the critical threshold. If all 7 spins produce nothing, or if you only get tiny returns once or twice with nothing substantial, you stand up immediately and leave. No hesitation. No 8th spin to confirm. You've just spent $17.50 at $2.50 per spin. And that money bought you information. The information is clear. This machine is still locked in a cold cycle. Walking away doesn't waste that $17.50. Staying there and losing another $200 is what wastes it. This is where the method lives or dies, in your ability to walk away after negative test results. Let me tell you about a player named Vincent who learned this the hard way. Vincent heard about strategic slot testing from a friend and decided to try it. He went to his regular casino, observed a Buffalo Gold machine that someone had just abandoned after 40 minutes of frustrated play, and sat down to test it. He played 7 spins at $3 each. Total investment, $21. All 7 spins came back nearly dead. 2 small wins of $4 and $6. Otherwise, nothing. Vincent knew the protocol said to leave, but his brain started negotiating. The machine has to hit eventually. That person played for 40 minutes, so I'm due. Just a few more spins to see what happens. He played 15 more spins. Nothing. Now he was down $66 and emotionally invested. I can't walk away after losing this much. I need to win some back. 30 minutes later, Vincent had lost $285 on a machine that his test correctly identified as cold. The method worked perfectly. Vincent ignored it. That's the difference between knowing a strategy and executing it with discipline. Have you ever convinced yourself to keep playing after a machine showed no signs of life? What made you stay? Drop your story in the comments. Understanding your triggers is the first step to controlling them. Now, let's talk about what happens when a machine passes your 7-spin test. You've played your test spins, and on spin 4, you won $42 on a $2.50 bet. On spin 6, you won $28. The machine is showing clear volatility. It's active. What now? This is where you need rules established before you continue. Set 2. Hard numbers immediately. Your win target and your loss limit. Your win target should be achievable but meaningful. If you sat down with $150, maybe your win target is $280. You've nearly doubled your money. When you hit $280, you cash out with zero exceptions. No justifications about hot streaks or one more bonus. You won. Take the money and leave. Your loss limit is equally critical. Maybe it's 25% of your starting bankroll. If you drop from 150 to 112, you're done. The machine fooled you. It showed activity during testing, but went cold during play. It happens. Accept the controlled loss and move to your next target. Here's what separates professional players from casual gamblers. Professionals treat win targets and loss limits like iron laws. No negotiation, no exceptions. Casual players treat them like suggestions. I'll cash out when I'm ahead sounds like a plan, but without a specific number, your brain will always find a reason to keep playing. You need that exact dollar amount decided before you ever press spin. Casino employees who use this method religiously all emphasize the same principle. Success isn't about finding machines that pay. Success is about avoiding machines that don't, and limiting damage when your read is wrong. If you test 8 machines in a session and 7 fail the test, you've spent maybe $140 in test spins. But that $140 saved you from blowing $600 sitting at dead machines all night. And that one machine that passed, that's your legitimate opportunity. Here's what a successful session looks like in real-world application. You arrive at the casino at 8 p.m. on a Saturday with $350 in your pocket. You're planning to bet $2.50 per spin on any machine you actually commit to playing. First, you spend 25 minutes doing a complete floor survey. You're watching, observing, taking mental notes. During your survey, you notice a man playing a Dragon Link machine near the sportsbook. He's been there at least 20 minutes based on his drink, and his body language screams frustration. Slumped shoulders, heavy sighs, aggressive button mashing. You grab a soda and position yourself at a nearby video poker machine where you can monitor him without being obvious. Over the next 12 minutes, you don't see a single bonus trigger. Finally, he cashes out and walks away shaking his head. You wait 3 minutes to ensure he's not returning, then you move to that Dragon Link machine. You insert $60 and set your bet to $2.50 per spin. Spin 1, dead. Spin 2, small win of $7.50. Spin 3, dead. Spin 4, line win of $38. That's more than 15 times your bet. Spin 5, another line win of $22. Spin 6, dead. Spin 7, you trigger the hold and spin feature. 3 substantial hits in 7 spins. This machine is volatile and active. You continue playing with your predetermined limits. Win target, $170. Loss limit, $45. Over the next 25 minutes, your hold and spin feature pays $94. You hit several line wins between $18 and $45. Your balance climbs to $183. You're past your win target. You cash out immediately. Total time at this machine, 32 minutes. Profit, $123. You didn't get greedy. You didn't chase one more bonus. You followed your plan. You relocate to a different section of the casino and identify another target. A Buffalo Diamond machine near the main bar that you observed someone leave earlier. You sit down and run your 7-spin test at $2.50 per spin. All 7 spins return almost nothing. One tiny win of $5. Everything else dead. Total loss, $17.50. The machine failed your test. You stand up without a second thought and walk away. No debate, no second guessing. The test said no. You listened. Your third target is a lightning link machine in a back corner. 7-spin test protocol. Spin 3 hits a line win of $41. Spin 5 triggers hold and spin. You play out the feature and collect $76. The machine passed dramatically. You continue with the same win and loss limits adjusted for your current bankroll. Over the next 40 minutes, you trigger another hold and spin for $68. Hit multiple solid line wins, and your balance reaches $201. You cash out. You test one more machine before calling it a night. A locket link near the high limit area. 7-spin test comes back weak. 2 tiny wins totaling $11 across 7 spins. Machine fails. You walk away having lost $17.50. End of session summary. You tested 4 machines, played extended sessions on 2, walked away from 2 after failed tests, and you're leaving the casino with $288 in profit. You spent about 3 hours total, including scouting time. You had entertainment, stayed disciplined, and capitalized on machines showing volatility while avoiding machines that weren't. Compare this to the average slot player. They walk in, sit at the first colorful machine that catches their attention, and play until their money evaporates. No observation, no testing, no plan. They're gambling on hope instead of creating strategy. That's the fundamental difference. Which type of player are you? The strategic tester or the hopeful spinner? Be brutally honest in the comments. No judgment here. Recognizing where you are is the only way to improve. Now let's discuss the advanced application once you've mastered the basic 7-spin test. You can start categorizing the quality of your test results to predict session potential. A machine that shows aggressive volatility during testing, multiple big hits in 7 spins, typically indicates high volatility behavior. If you continue playing, expect significant gaps between wins, but larger payouts when they land. Consider lowering your bets slightly to survive the dry stretches. A machine that pays modest amounts on 4 or 5 of your 7 test spins is showing medium volatility. You won't hit massive jackpots, but you'll get consistent action. This is ideal for longer grinding sessions where you're accumulating small wins over time. You might even increase your bet modestly since returns are frequent. A machine that pays nothing or nearly nothing across all 7 test spins is screaming at you to leave. There's no interpretation required. It's cold. Respect that information and move on. This is the easiest decision you'll make if you can override emotional impulses. Here's an advanced tracking technique that experienced players use. Keep a simple note on your phone documenting every machine you test. Include the machine name, location in the casino, date, time, your test results, and whether you played a session afterward. After testing 50 or 60 machines over several visits, patterns start emerging. You might notice certain machine types consistently pass your test more often than others. Maybe Buffalo variants test well 40% of the time, while Lightning Link only tests well 25% of the time at your casino. That information lets you prioritize which machines to scout. You might discover certain areas of the casino consistently produce better test results. Maybe machines near the back bar test positively twice as often as machines near the main entrance. Now you know where to focus your scouting time. You might even notice time-based patterns. Perhaps machines tested on Sunday mornings between 10 a.m. and noon show more volatility than machines tested Saturday nights. This isn't because casinos change settings by time. It's because player traffic patterns affect when machines cycle through cold periods. Heavy weekend evening play from casual tourists means machines get hammered. By Sunday morning, those same machines might be transitioning to more active states. Let me tell you about a player named Lisa, who took tracking to another level. Lisa plays at the same casino twice a week. She started documenting every test religiously. After 4 months and nearly 180 machine tests, she analyzed her data and found something fascinating. Machines in the back corner near the poker room passed her 7-spin test 52% of the time. Machines near the main entrance only passed 18% of the time. Machines along the back wall between table games passed 43% of the time. Lisa completely changed her scouting pattern. She now spends 80% of her observation time in the back corner and along the back wall. She rarely even walks near the main entrance anymore. Her test success rate jumped from 28% overall to 47% overall just by focusing on higher probability zones. Same method, smarter application, better results. Here's something critical that former casino managers have disclosed. Casinos track player movement patterns through the player's club card system and surveillance cameras. They identify players who move frequently between machines, test strategically, and leave quickly. These players are flagged internally, not for cheating, but because they're playing intelligently. Some casinos have begun training floor staff to interrupt these players with offers. Complimentary drinks, meal vouchers, free play credits, upgraded player status. Why? Because the longer they can keep you at any single machine, the more the house edge works against you. If they can disrupt your discipline with a free steak dinner, they win. Maria, the player I mentioned at the beginning, experienced this firsthand. A casino host approached her 4 weeks ago and offered her double-tier credits, suite upgrades, and premium concert tickets if she'd commit to longer play sessions at designated machines. Maria recognized the tactic immediately. The casino identified her as a strategic player and was trying to break her method. She politely declined and continues using her approach. She's still profitable. If a casino host approaches you with unusually generous offers, understand what's happening. They've identified you as a smart player and they're trying to change your behavior. You can accept the perks if you want, but never let them alter your method. Take the free meal, enjoy the show tickets, but when you're on that slot floor, you stick to your protocol. No compromises. Let me address the most common objections players have when they first hear about this method. Objection 1. 7 spins isn't enough to know if a machine is paying. You're correct. 7 spins is statistically insignificant in the long term. But you're not trying to prove the machine is hot. You're trying to detect if it's showing any signs of volatility worth investigating further. 7 spins absolutely can differentiate between a completely dead machine and one showing life. That's all you need to know. Objection 2. This takes too much time and patience. Yes, it does. If you want to sit in one spot, zone out, and play slots like a mindless zombie, this method isn't for you. This method is designed for players who want to minimize losses and maximize winning opportunities, and that requires effort. Most players aren't willing to invest the effort, which is exactly why casinos generate billions in slot revenue annually. Objection 3. I tried this and it didn't work. When players say this, I ask specific questions. Did you observe machines before testing, or did you pick randomly? Did you walk away after 7 negative spins, or did you keep playing? Did you set win and loss limits, or did you play until you felt like stopping? In nearly every case, the method didn't fail. The player's execution failed. Objection 4. Walking away from a machine after investing money feels like giving up. This is the sunk cost fallacy, and it's one of the most expensive psychological traps in gambling. That money you spent on test spins is gone regardless of what you do next. It bought you information. If the information says the machine is cold, continuing to play doesn't recover your test investment. It compounds your losses. Walking away is the only rational choice. Let's talk about the mental warfare happening when you try to use this method. When you sit at a machine, invest $17.50 in 7 test spins that produce nothing. Instinct in your brain screams, "Keep going. Don't waste that money. The next spin could be huge." This is your primitive brain talking, the same part that craves immediate rewards and avoids short-term losses. You must override this instinct with logic. Logic says $17.50 bought you critical information. The information says this machine is cold. Continuing isn't persistence, it's foolishness. Walking away isn't quitting, it's executing smart strategy. You need to have this internal conversation every single time you test a machine that fails. It never gets easier. You just get better at recognizing when emotions are hijacking your decisions. Here's a technique that helps. Before you sit at any machine for testing, set a timer on your phone for exactly 6 minutes. When that timer goes off, you're finished testing regardless of results. Stand up, take your ticket, and leave the machine. This removes the decision from your emotional brain and puts it on external autopilot. The timer says you're done. No negotiations. Another technique is the physical reset. After every failed test, before you move to your next target, leave the slot floor completely. Walk outside for 2 minutes, get some fresh air, reset your mental state. This breaks the emotional momentum that builds when you're testing multiple machines. Without this reset, frustration accumulates and your discipline erodes. By the 4th or 5th test, you're vulnerable to breaking your rules. The physical reset prevents this. What's your personal trigger that makes you want to break the rules? Is it multiple failed tests in a row? Is it seeing someone else win big? Is it being down money overall? Identify your trigger in the comments. Self-awareness is the foundation of discipline. Let's talk about bankroll management in detail, because this is where most players sabotage themselves before they even start. You need enough money to test multiple machines and still have playing capital remaining if you find an active one. A reasonable guideline is to bring at least 25 times your planned bet amount, just for testing purposes. If you're betting $2.50 per spin, that's $62.50 for testing, which covers testing 3 or 4 machines at 7 spins each. Then you need an additional 60 to 100 times your bet amount for actual play sessions, another $150 to $250. Total recommended bankroll for a $2.50 bettor using this method is $212 to $312. That might seem high, but consider the math. You bring $250, you test 4 machines, 3 fail, costing you about $52.50. You have $197.50 remaining for the one machine that passed your test. If that machine delivers a profitable session, you leave ahead. If it doesn't, you've still only lost $250, which is probably less than you'd lose grinding at one random machine for 3 hours. Players with smaller bankrolls can absolutely use this method. If you can only afford 75-cent spins, bring $80 total. That gives you roughly $21 for testing 4 machines and $59 for playing. If you're working with even less, bet 50 cents per spin and bring $50. That's $14 for testing and $36 for playing. The method scales to any budget level. What doesn't scale is discipline. Whether you're betting 50 cents or $10 per spin, Walking away from failed tests requires the same mental strength. Here's something critical about bankroll psychology. Never bring money to the casino that you need for anything else. Rent, bills, groceries, car payments. If you need that money for life expenses, it doesn't belong in a casino. The moment you're gambling with scared money, your decision-making collapses. You can't walk away from failed tests because you're desperate to win. You can't cash out when ahead because you're trying to solve financial problems. Scared money always loses. Only gamble with entertainment money. Money that if you lost it completely, your life continues normally. When you have that psychological freedom, walking away from a cold machine is easy. Cashing out with a profit is easy. You're not playing from desperation. You're playing from strategy. Before we finish, let's discuss the long-term reality of using this method. You're not going to win every session. You're not going to turn $200 into $2,000 every weekend. What this method does is shift your win rate from maybe 25% of sessions to possibly 45% or 50% of sessions. It reduces your average loss on losing sessions and increases your average win on winning sessions. Over months and years, that difference is massive. Let's say you visit the casino twice a month and bring $250 each visit. Without any method, you might win 3 sessions out of 24 in a year. You're losing about $5,400 annually for your entertainment. With this method, you might win 11 sessions out of 24. Now you're only losing about $1,800 annually. You've saved $3,600 while having the same amount of fun. That's the realistic expectation, not getting rich, just losing less and winning more often. Some players using this method actually break even or show slight profits over a year. These are players who execute perfectly, never break their rules, and get a bit lucky with timing. But most players using this method still lose long-term. They just lose 60 to 70% less than they would playing randomly. That's a win. Here's your complete action blueprint. Scout the floor for 20 to 25 minutes before playing anything. Identify 3 to 5 target machines based on player observation. Test each machine with exactly 7 spins at a meaningful bet level. Walk away immediately from machines showing no volatility signals. Set firm win targets and loss limits on machines that pass testing. Cash out when you hit either limit. Take a physical reset break after every failed test. Document your results for pattern analysis. Never play with scared money. Treat this as entertainment with improved odds, not an income strategy. Here's your homework assignment for your next casino visit. Bring a small notepad or use your phone notes app. Scout for 20 minutes and document 5 target machines. Include the machine name and why you targeted it. Test each of those 5 machines. Record your test results. How many passed? How many failed? Did you walk away from the failures? If you played a session on a passing machine, what was the outcome? Then come back here and share your complete report in the comments. Detailed feedback helps you learn and helps others see real-world results. What's your biggest obstacle to using this method? Is it the patience required for scouting? The discipline to abandon machines after failed tests? The emotional control to cash out when you're ahead? The fear of looking foolish walking away after a few spins? Share in the comments. Identifying your specific challenge is the first step to overcoming it. If this video completely changed how you think about playing slots, hit that like button. If you want more insider strategies that casinos hope you never learn, subscribe and turn on notifications. Share this with anyone you know who plays slots, because the more players who use strategy instead of hope, the less money casinos extract from impulsive behavior. Every strategic player makes the casino work a little harder for their profits. The casino floor is engineered to make you emotional impulsive, and reckless. The lights, the sounds, the free alcohol, the comfortable seating, the deliberately confusing layout, it's all designed to keep you playing longer without thinking. This secret method is your countermeasure. It forces you to be analytical, selective, and disciplined. Master it, and you'll never approach a slot machine the same way again. Remember, slots are entertainment,